guys, welcome back to more sugar, more spice with your girl Mandisa. Hey guys, I've been gone, hey? It's not been that long, but I've been gone. So gone that I was just here like, welcome to my Ismail. Welcome to channel Ismail. But anyway, I'm kidding. So good to be back. Thank you guys for joining me today. I've been gone for a little bit. It's not that bad because I obviously had like some pre-recorded content that I could share with you while I was not recording, but it was a bit stale, obviously. So I didn't even share all of it, and I thought, you know what, let me find some time this weekend to do the things. Before I get into the reason why I've been away, I would firstly like to say thank you to all my subscribers. You guys know, you guys know that I wouldn't be here without you guys. Like, imagine a channel with no subscribers. Thank you so much for keeping those likes coming. Thank you so much for keeping those comments coming. I am literally so motivated to keep making more content because of you guys. I have had so much love on my, like, in my DMs, from people who have really enjoyed the content on the channel and have actually encouraged me to keep sharing. So I just like to say thank you to you guys. I see you, I've heard you. I will definitely keep the content coming, especially the mommy and me related content. Yeah, so let's get into it. The reason I've been away is because I had to go back to work. Guys, I'm Sivit. Hi. Yeah, I had to go back to work. I have been away for a very long time, and I'm going back to work and how to post these COVID times. So there definitely have been adjustments where I work. Gratefully, some of these adjustments actually work to my benefit. So yeah, I have been away, and one of the things that worked was the fact that I had 2 weeks at work and then 2 weeks at home, just to make sure that there's enough room for social distancing in the premises. So that has worked in my favor because that means I get to work from home. I obviously maybe get to, you know, see my child, see him see him as often as possible. And speaking of my child, you might hear a lot of cooing, a lot of screaming. Little man has started talking his baby talk, and it is the most adorable thing ever. He's got the widest range of voices. He could literally move from squeaking like a little I don't know what to sounding like a 16-ton truck, which is really fascinating. He's growing up really strong and healthy and giving us nothing but just smiles, gummy smiles galore. Yeah, so yeah, adjusting back to being at the office. So I didn't really have a lot of time to, you know, make content. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare and, you know, and do all of that. But I'm back. I'll try to be more consistent. Obviously, I will make more time, and yeah, you'll be seeing me more often. So in light of all the feedback that we've been getting regarding content that's really useful, it's been pregnancy videos and, you know, momming videos. So I thought today I would do my breastfeeding journey. So firstly, let's talk about how people think we don't want to breastfeed. We don't want to breastfeed people. I think people make so many assumptions about women of this age. They think we don't want to breastfeed. Like every other adult or every other person who's had a child, maybe in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years, is always telling us to breastfeed. Like we don't want to breastfeed. Guys, there's nothing wrong with breastfeeding, okay? Us new age moms, millennial moms, have absolutely nothing wrong or nothing against breastfeeding. So stop telling us to breastfeed our children. We know what we need to do, okay? Hey, I got so many of those. Like I wouldn't breastfeed much. I was breastfed for an entire year. Why wouldn't I give my child a chance? But yeah, that's the first thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with breastfeeding. For millennial moms, we are about that breastfeeding life. So let's start with the pressure because okay. yeah. But yeah, so I'm just gonna start at the beginning. Obviously, when I was expecting, I did a lot of preparing, in terms of getting nipple cream and taking my supplements so that my body was ready to breastfeed once Q landed. And I should say I for one was excited when my breast started getting bigger and I started leaking. I actually had to buy breast pills very early on in my pregnancy because already the girl was just producing milk, which was a good thing because that was just a sign or like an indication, yeah, you know what, we'll be fine. And also before I actually started breastfeeding, I remember I was looking at my nipples and I called my mom because when you're pregnant, you try to think about everything and sometimes you literally overthink everything. So I remember calling my mom, being on some, Mama, Nama, what if my nipple is too big and the baby's mouth is too small? I know. And she just laughed. She's like, oh, come on. He'll be okay. He'll have to open his mouth wide if he wants to eat. So yeah, I was already getting my mind in the game for breastfeeding before I actually had to start. And fortunately for me, when Q was born, which is something that happens to women that actually deliver via C-section, because of the surgery and all that separation, and just you maybe skipping some of the stages of labor, you end up maybe not producing milk on time, and maybe your body's a bit slow to sort of figure out because we've been through such and such a stage. So I was a little bit concerned because I'm going to have my child via a C-section delivery, that maybe my milk wouldn't come in on time. Fortunately enough, my milk, because it had been leaking before the baby was born, I really didn't struggle. That day, same day, I was able to breastfeed him. He was able to get some of that good stuff, that colostrum. And, his latch was really good. We didn't really have a problem with that. The only thing that is really worth noting about my, breastfeeding challenge on the first day was that, guys, you see the people at the hospital, they'll finish. The people at the hospital are the ones that are always going to be preaching breast is best. They're the number one advocates. Keep on. I can post a girl, you need to post a boy. It's breastfeeding. So the ironic thing is, these people at the nurseries, when they have our children, whether they're bathing them or whatever, while they still keep them before they give them to us, guys, they're feeding our babies formula. And I understand it's a necessary evil. I understand, not even an evil, it's a necessary step, because what if your milk hasn't come in yet? Or what if there were complications and you're still under the knife, or you're still under observation, or you had to be given something that's not good for the baby? Or what if the latch is terrible? Or what if it's really painful? I saw this video of a woman literally wailing. So what if it's those situations? What if it's those situations where, unfortunately, your child needs to be given formula? So we need to do what's best for the baby. We'll give them formula. But I didn't have a problem with formula. Not that the hell, I've never really been the gal to judge. I never had a problem with formula. My problem was here. So because it's more easier and more hygienic to actually use cups, they were feeding our children using cups. There's no tit, there's nothing. It's just a cup. So they take this cup, they the measure of milk that the child needs, they hold the baby upright, and they feed them through the cup. Guys, it's very easily gratifying. It's just, everything is smoothies. Everything is tops. New mom. Your hold is all over the place. I have very tiny limbs, and my baby was a big baby, so I'm still trying to figure out how to hold my baby. I'm still trying to figure out how to grab the boob, how to hold it, how to put it in his mouth, trying to make sure that he's got the best latch possible. But these people at the nursery are busy serving my child with a cup. Easily gratifying. After literally having to do this. Guys, I felt like that was really counterproductive, and I wish that somebody would have told me that that would be the situation so that I'm ready, because he would literally get so frustrated and I'm trying to give him the boob because it's not as easy as the cup. So my qualm with the hospital wasn't that they were giving our children formula because it was good formula. My challenge was that they were giving them nipple confusion, cup confusion, or whatever you will call it, because the breast needs work before the letdown can come in, and then they're just used to opening their mouths and being full. So there was that part of my breastfeeding journey, which was a bit frustrating. I couldn't wait to get out of the hospital so that I could come back home and teach my child how we do things, because those women there were not about our little plan. So yeah, we got home. His latch was still good. Yeah, I was breastfeeding him on demand, which would literally be every hour and a half. You know how that hierarchy of needs yabana is. If he's fussing, you check his diaper. You know, if the diaper is fine, you then, you know, check if he's cold or he's too hot. If that's not it, then you give him food. That's how the story goes. So it was literally on-demand feeding, and was going really, really well. And my supply was amazing. It was, I was the YouTube moms, guys. My supply was so good that I was able to feed him what he needed and still be able to express maybe 2 bottles. So that would mean maybe I would sleep for a longer stretch during the night, and my mom or my husband would feed him while I sleep. And then our first month checkup came. Okay. Our first month checkup, the doctor was like, I expected Q to have actually gained like 1 kilogram, and he hasn't. The pressure, guys. And I'm like, oh, okay. As a mom, you just feel like you're failing in life if your child is not gaining enough weight. So he was like, how are you feeding? I'm telling him, it's on demand. And I have an overactive letdown, like my shami. Like it can't be issue he's not getting enough milk or milk because I have such an overactive letdown. Like when he was breastfeeding, it's really, really swallowing fast. And the doctor was like, me I get for 2 weeks. What you're going to do is you're going to express your milk and feed him to check if your supply is actually meeting his demand. I was like, okay, cool. I knew I didn't have a breast milk problem. I was like, cool, I can do that. The most annoying thing was that pumping is tedious, guys. I mean, it's brilliant. We thank God for whoever created the pump, but it's tedious. It's not as easy and it's not as beautiful as breastfeeding your child. So for those 2 weeks, I literally had to express. So I had at least a minimum of 8 times a day. I want you to express about 100 mils of milk. We were able to do that, and then we went back 2 weeks later, and he still hadn't gained the amount of weight that the doctor wanted him to gain. So then the doctor insisted. He's like, I'm giving you advice, but you don't want to take it. I suggest that you put this baby on supplemented feeding. So formula so that because he's not gaining the kind of weight that I would want him to gain. I don't want to be a bad mom. I was touched. Oh my gosh, guys. You know how emo I am. I was devastated. Went around looking for formula. I wanted to give him the one that they had given him at the hospital, S26. I couldn't find it anywhere because I wanted ready to feed, because the maids in life are not to be played with. So I wanted something easy. Constipated because I was not ready for that conversation. So I wanted ready to feed formula, and it was ridiculously hard to find. And this was during lockdown, fresh, and my husband went through it, guys. But we finally found S26. Actually, no, before we found S26, we found Infracare, and we settled for Infracare, and then we gave him Infracare, and he was okay. He's not really a fussy eater. And then we finally found S26. We tried to get him back to. He was like, "No, I don't want that." So we went back to Infracare, and I was supplementing at least 2 bottles. Formula, because the man had put me under pressure. Because there was no way I was going to feed him like during a session and then give him formula after, because he would eat to be full, right? And he would eat and literally sleep on the boob. So that was never going to work. So I just decided, okay, fine, let me top up off of what I already have. So as time went on, now I had to go back to work. That meant now I had to regulate my breast milk production, because being engorged is the pits. It's like your breasts, they're hard like a rock, but at the same time, they're so tender and so painful. Whew, gosh. Yeah, engorgement is real. So I didn't want to go through that at the office, not where I work. It's not the time or the place for things like that. Okay, don't play. So I decided to already start regulating my milk supply. So I started reducing the amount of time that I was pumping. I was dropping feeds, so that I could pump at lunch. Actually pump in the morning, pump at lunch, and then when I come back home, which is around 5ish, then he's on the boob the entire time. All is good and well. That was a great plan while I was at home. No, we had it all figured out until I had to actually go back to work. So first couple of times I was trying to train my kid, when I was working from home, so I would try to stay in the room and away from him as much as possible, to just teach him how our new way of life was going to be. And first week of that exercise, the Monday I went to work. When I came back and I tried to give my son the boob, he wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. It was an entire nipple strike. It was bad. He didn't want it. I would literally take the boob and put it on his cheek. It will just stimulate that hair. He would cry. It was like the boob was burning him. He didn't want it. He didn't want it at all. He would get so fussy. He would scream. And I had never seen my child like that. Like temperament, the Hawa is just always chilled low key. So for me to see him go through that, it was a lot. And imagine the rejection that I felt. That was a sad time. That was a really sad time for me. So imagine the rejection. I was feeling like, oh my word, firstly I failed at producing enough milk and giving him enough to gain weight. Now he wants absolutely nothing to do with me. What kind of mom am I? What am I doing wrong? It was intense. I was so sad. I was literally crying. It was so sad. But the baby had to eat, so we obviously increased the bottles. And lucky enough, I had about a stash for about a month or two in the freezer. So, yeah, I resorted to pumping while he got over that nipple strike. I tried every day, and I think maybe 2 weeks into the trying, that's when he started coming back to the boob, but just to soothe himself, not to really do any major eating. So that's when I just, realized that my supply was actually dropping drastically, because I'm doing a lot of pumping and not so much breastfeeding. And that's something that people don't tell you. You could pump 79 times a day, but it will never have the same impact on your body or on your hormones, like your child literally latching on and breastfeeding. So my supply took a really huge hit. I think I was down to maybe producing about 3 bottles. And yeah, so that's just how that story goes. Now I'm currently trying to engage as much, interventions as possible. I'm drinking my water, I'm drinking my tea, I'm eating my oats, I'm actually drinking nursing tea like water, with fennel and fenugreek, and it's helping. But you know what, I realized that I shouldn't allow things like this to stress me out. I should focus on the things that I'm killing it at, and make sure that my son has the best experience, as a newborn, so that's pretty much how my breastfeeding journey has gone thus far. And I'm really accepting of my circumstance right now, because some of these factors are not things that I had under my control. For instance, I was really ahead in terms of my stash, but I had to actually reduce my pumping routine because I couldn't find any breastfeeding or breast milk freezer bags, and because of the COVID-19 crisis, so I couldn't find those anywhere. I struggled. I literally looked everywhere and I couldn't find them anywhere. So I couldn't maybe store 4 bottles of the milk. I could only maybe pump enough for him to eat, but not enough for me to freeze. So my 2-month supply has gone down greatly, and it's about to come to an end because now I'm not in a position to freeze anything because I'm not producing enough. But like I'm saying, I've come to terms with it. I'm very accepting of my circumstance because I did the best that I could. I had the resources. My body didn't fail me. It was just circumstances. It was just life. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's my breastfeeding journey. If there's anything that you can take from this video, is that, one, you have a choice to do whatever it is that you want to do with your child, whether you want to breastfeed them or whether you don't, or whether you're breastfeeding them and along the way you decide what it's not working for you. You have every right to switch it up because you're in control. It's your child. The second thing is, when things don't pan out the way you want them to pan out, don't take it to heart, because one, stress is obviously going to affect your supply. I know stress is I haven't seen that happen to me, but I know that it will greatly reduce the amount of milk that you produce. And the third thing is, do as much as you can to support the outcome that you want. If you want to breastfeed and you want to up your supply, do the things that you need to do. How would they not counterproductive to produce enough milk, but you're not willing to put in the work. And don't be hard on yourself, guys. Don't be hard on yourself. The best thing a mom can do for their child is to make sure they're fed. I know everybody says breast is best, but guys, fed is best. As long as your child is fed and they are healthy and they are catching up on their milestones and their development is good and you're happy, then that's really all that matters. There's absolutely no reason for you to be struggling or you're breastfeeding your child when you have to be pumping every hour and then you're not getting enough sleep. Sleep deprivation. So don't. So yeah, that was my breastfeeding journey, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to comment below and let me know how your breastfeeding journey was, or what kind of challenges that you encountered. If you're a future or if you're a pregnant mom, let me know. If you have any questions, I will definitely tend to them and answer them, and let you know if there's any valuable information that I can share with you. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the notification bell right next to that subscribe button so that when new content comes up, you will be the first to know. Okay, it's an exclusive club. That's the gate pass. But yeah, remember to like and share this video with your friends so that our family can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I will see you on my next video. Bye.